What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Red Button Regrets. And yes, we're still continuing on the masculinity and manhood train because why not? This is my channel. I do what I want. So today we're going to talk about brotherhood, and specifically in the context of biblical brotherhood, biblical family. Not in the broad reaching sense, but just thinking of the word brotherhood. But I'm going to give you more so an opinion from me being an educated black male. So I went to college. I have a bachelor's degree and I'm almost finished doing a PhD as well. I did half a medical school. So I have quite a bit of academic knowledge. So I've been through a lot of higher education. And what this is going to be talking about is something that came up in my feed a little bit earlier today. It kind of reminded me back of like my thought process back when I was late teens, just starting college, and already not liking the idea of things like fraternities and sororities. And I think it's kind of like it's a good point to kind of talk about today. I'll link the inspiration of the video down in the description below by a young woman who talked about her renouncing and denouncing her sorority because of its unbiblical roots. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat because this, as a black man, an educated black man, and saying bad things about the Divine Nine and people who have really deep spiritual relationships to these. I am walking on thin ice. So I think I'm gonna stick with the ninja for now. Let's try to start leveling up Snowy because that's where we were before last time. So we'll do Snowy, try getting to level 10, but we'll keep working with the ninja for now. So we'll pick the ninja for now. All right, so let's play with the ninja. And it looks like we are fast enough, so we'll just keep using the sword for right now. But yeah, so let's get into the topic of hand. So brotherhood. So when Jesus is out and about, oh, I'm getting shot. So when Jesus is out and about, he goes on and starts a conversation saying that let me try to wait for this to settle out. Actually, let me just look up that, make sure I'm saying this correctly. Really quick. Jesus asks, who is my mother and my brother? KJV. I'll just tell you exactly what it says. So, references Matthew, the 12th chapter, the 46th to the 50th verse. It says, while he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, same as my brother and my sister and my mother. And this was something that I already had a sense of even as a very young man when I was first starting college. And I would quote this quite religiously and quite often, especially being inside of a scholarship program that focused a lot on diversity, inclusion, and diversifying the STEM fields, which I think is a valid pursuit, an important pursuit, especially for a group of people where we usually don't we don't really celebrate education as much, right? As much as sports or entertainment, or music, things like that. Yes, I know music's a part of entertainment, but just saying. So I do think that the mission back then when it first started with one of my mentors, it was a very necessary thing. And I think that people, especially on the collegiate level, educated black people as well. You see this a lot with the sororities and fraternities. I guess also for context, I went to a PWI. For those who don't know, and those who don't know the college scene, PWI stands for predominantly white institution, and then a lot of people want to go to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. So I went to a PWI, I went to a predominantly white institution, but that PWI also had the reputation of a scholarship program that produced the most number of African American MD PhDs in the country, even more than most HBCUs. So knowing that I wanted to do 2 doctorate degrees, not just one, I chose to go to that PWI. And I know a lot of people who didn't choose that PWI because of the fact that they would not have access or easy access to a lot of the Divine Nine sororities and fraternities that they wanted to pledge to. And many of these people, like me, were raised in church, stated that they were Bible-believing individuals, and yet they still wanted to make sure that they had this part of the college experience. Parties, the fellowship, the brotherhood, and the sisterhood. Both of which, brotherhood and sisterhood, I didn't really understand. One, because I love my natural family, and then 2, I always knew that above all else, serving God and my spiritual family were the most important. So to me, chasing that brotherhood or that sisterhood never made sense. And when I saw that video today, it was very interesting to kind of get eye-opening from a person on the inside, right? A person who never really thought of it on a very deep level, but still engaged and still like went that path. Talk about that was super interesting to me. It also validated the thought process that I had very early on, even when I was still very ignorant as a teenager, and what it protected me from, right? Because people start bringing in this idolatry that's so hard to get rid of as Christians. We already know that's the first commandment, that I'm the Lord thy God, and thou shalt not have no other gods before me. That is the very first commandment that he gave to the Israelites. And so it's sad to see, especially so many black people, my community, get sucked up with so much idolatry. And by every turn, every wake, every crevice, the devil's just waiting just to fool so many people who on paper are quite educated, but are fooled by the wiles of the devil with thousands of years of human psychology to use and wield at his whim. So whether or not it's using our race as our God, everything is looked through the lens of blackness, or whether or not it is thinking things in terms of, well, I guess this still kind of connects to the lens of blackness, whether or not you're looking through everything as the lens of being a man or being a woman, or everything within the lens of being a conservative or being a liberal. Like, none of those things matter. Once you serve God, the most important thing and the highest important thing to you is serving God. So it doesn't matter what those other things are. Those things take the sideline to God. So when I saw that video and saw that people were looking for this brotherhood, this fraternity, this sorority, this sisterhood, it was interesting for me to kind of see the information, see the thought process of people in that space, get a insight into like the rituals and the process. And it was just, I don't know, it was eye-opening to say the least, especially after seeing an acquaintance who is a soror, who's a sorority, part of the Divine Nine, do a performance of a step show and talk about the deep connections to the past. And I was just like, man, I can't imagine being this beholden to such carnal and natural things. And so I'm so grateful that I decided to serve God young, because many of those things that have captured and really trapped people who may want to serve God quite who wants to serve God. I think it puts them into a situation where they are, he's gonna come and get me. But yeah, sorry, I got distracted trying to play this and talk to you guys at the same time. But, yeah, but I'm always grateful that God allowed me to try to give me a desire to want to serve Him earlier and protect me from those vices and those other idols. And my rant video about being a good man is hard. I already kind of admit that I still fell into one of those idolatries where my career became my idol, where everything was looked through the lens of becoming a physician scientist. Learning that was wrong and that I was betraying my faith by having my job be more important than my role as a child of God. So having another one of those things would not have been helpful. So I'm always grateful that God kind of limited my exposure to many things. And even though people made it seem like fun, it's like, oh, you're missing all the fun, and the reason you go to college to have all these parties. I'm like, no, I went to college for one very specific thing: get good grades, make sure I go to medical school for free, make sure I get an MD and PhD, and I'm able to do exactly what my career, whatever I see my future to be. So the parties never interested me. The Brotherhood, the sister. I'm like, I'm good at networking. I'm gonna talk to any person that I need to talk to. Don't care if you're black, white, yellow, red, green. It didn't matter to me. You're gonna talk to me whether you like it or not. You might not want to be my friend. You might not want to work with me, but we're gonna have a conversation. And so, I guess the main reason for this is that yes, we do need brotherhood. Yes, we do need family. And this is why the Bible tells us that we're never being sent alone. This is why we should fear not to assemble with like-minded believers and fellowship with each other. This is why churches are important. So we're not meant to make this journey alone. So it's not me preaching against brotherhood in the form of like, oh, fraternities and sororities are bad. But I'm saying that yes, in a biblical sense, they're not necessary, and many of them are idols, and put you in a place where they try to be idols that are above God. But to make you think a little bit more clearly or a little bit more closely about the idea that if you're going to look for brothership, or sisterhood or brotherhood, do so in the biblical way, where Jesus said, "Who is my mother and who is my brother? Those who do the will of God. Those are my mothers. That's my brother. That's my sister." So take hold of your faith and make sure you elevate that to the highest esteem. Not your fraternity, not your sorority, not your college bros, not any of those things. God should take priority in your life. And I think I'm going to stop this here. I think I wound up finishing this stage at the right time as I'm finishing my rant. But I will but I will link the video below, maybe in the card that inspired this chat. And you can listen to the young lady talk about her change as she started really being sold out to God, and then why she recently renounced and denounced her sorority. But hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Peace.